October is upon us, and October historically has been a rather interesting month, especially for Bitcoin. I think the BULAs have perhaps a few things to be looking forward to as we'll go over the statistics with that. And of course, as it is Sunday, just a little bit of a thing to be speaking about. I was actually having a conversation with a friend earlier, and just a reminder without getting into the details. Life is crazy, man. Life is absolutely crazy. It's unrelenting, and unfortunately, good things happen to terrible people, and absolutely devastatingly terrible things happen to great people. And it's just one of those reminders to, well, when things actually are good, well, do appreciate it. Anyways, I think with that in mind, we can now get into the actual statistics of today. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through all of the Octobers in Bitcoin's history. And I want to actually speak about this data first before we get into it, just because I did omit one October. That was actually the first October of Bitcoin's existence in 2009, actually, way back on over here. The reason why I omitted it is because it was the first one, and also I literally just don't have price data on it, although it did seem to be up, as you can see on TradingView. Unfortunately, the decimal places do not go, well, past two decimal places, so as you can see, well, I don't really have much to be going off of, but technically speaking, as we'll go over a little bit later, the win rate would be slightly higher. Anyways, just kind of parsing through the data right here before we get into the statistics, I do want to note a couple things about October. So October, as a month, did mark the end of the 2015 cycle right here. We can see that Bitcoin did take a big leg up out of the overall macro accumulation range from the 2014-2015 cycle. And also, actually, now that I recognize it, was also the big move up that we did see in 2013 from essentially the mid-cycle correction, which is going to come up a little bit later, because what do you know, in the mid-cycle correction in 2021, same thing right here. That was that big move up, or one of the big moves up, I guess you could say. Also in 2020, as you can see, this one right here, another of what I would consider kind of like the kicking off of the bull market for Bitcoin, because this was when Bitcoin essentially traded back above the rejective highs that we did see in 2019 and really got on with that, parabolic run, I guess you could call it. And other than that, you can just see some generally very impressive moves across the board here, even in the context of pretty hefty bear markets like 2022. October was a green or cyan month in this case, albeit very short-lived, and FTX did dump it all to hell right on after that. But ultimately, October is kind of like, in a sense, the opposite of September, in that, to the downside, things are more or less, sideways. You get like one kind of big-ish move over here to the downside. But other than that, all of the Octobers have been, even if they are to the downside, have been similar to this right here that we do see in 2018, where it is, it trades a little bit up, trades a little bit down, closes a little bit down, but mostly unchanged. So let's go into the data right now. And as you can see, out of the 13 Octobers that I recorded, 9 of them did post positive gains. So just under or just over a 69% strike rate. Not bad. Great number right there as well. And of course, we would include that first one from 2009, then it would be 10 out of 14, and that would be a slightly higher win rate, but my brain can't compute that as of right now, but probably low 70s. Anyways, in terms of the average loss, so we'll go over the losses first over here. In terms of the average loss return for the losing months, it was negative 15.79%. But as you can see, it was the second October that really did the bulk of that heavy lifting for very nasty downside price action. Other than that, well, it doesn't sound like it sounds like a lot, but in Bitcoin terms, maybe a little bit less so, especially in the earlier Octobers, negative 9%, negative 13%, negative 3.75%. More recently, I guess. In fact, the last 1, 2, 3, 4 Octobers have been positive gains. And as you can see right here, the average return for the win side, very interesting at 49.37%. Now, do keep in mind that the first October that I have recorded here from 2010, was a pretty tremendous gain. So if we get rid of that outlier, we can see that that average return goes down quite a fair bit at 28.45. So that's probably more realistic, let's say. But what we can do now is we can start to play around with numbers. So we can go back, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to omit this result as well, just kind of get rid of these outliers and see where they come in around. And yeah, the average loss about 8.67%. So what we can do now is we can go over to our current month of September. Again, September's got about a week left, or exactly a week left. Let me just double check my calendar here. Yeah, so 1 week from today will be October 1st. So yeah. Barring any sort of like tremendously crazy move, it looks like September is going to be more or less a sideways month, which is what we did say is probably most likely for this September, with a high somewhere in the low 27s and a low, well, like low 25, which it actually did trade $100 below 25,000. So I'm wrong, and I should be tarred and feathered. But yeah, just looking at the weekly right here, I mean, I suspect that September is going to close somewhere around here, somewhere around 26. I don't think that we're going to see any tremendously nasty move to the downside next week that makes new lows. I think worst case scenario next week, we see maybe back down to like 25.7, 25.8 region. And realistically probably just closes sideways. So if we were to take basically the current price, or let's just say 26, and use that as a starting point, well, if we take the average loss for September at about 8.5%, let's see what that would kind of print for October. 8.5% would put Bitcoin down around about just below $24,000 at about 23,900 or so. So that would be, a reasonable area of interest based off these statistics. And by contrast to the upside, kind of crazy there. Again, 28.45, but we do see multiple 1, 2, 3 Octobers that did print 40%, like at least 40% gains, which not bad. I mean, 5 of them at least printed 30% or 33%, I should say. So again, not bad in my opinion. But if we were to, look at that as something, relevant to the upside, what would 30% look like to the upside? That put Bitcoin at 34,000. Okay. Not bad. If it goes for the 40% region, that would be 36,350. I think that's, just the general area of interest that was kind of the major breakdown from May of 2022. So October likely to be a pretty interesting month, I suspect. There's a couple easy calls here, in my opinion. If Bitcoin in September would reclaim that yellow moving average, the 20 simple in this case, which is 26,900 about, I would feel quite confident in saying that we probably do see this next October to the upside, at least retesting the highs of this summer at, 31, 32,000 bucks. And personally speaking, I do think that Bitcoin would probably march on a little bit higher. Bitcoin does close below the 20 simple. I would keep, I really would keep the option open for a down October, however. So, it's going to come down to these next 6 days. Going to be boring as fuck as usual, because that's just what we're dealing with here with Bitcoin. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But you love looking at magic internet money that goes sideways for forever. It's the forever sideways market. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's just you and me even looking at these markets at this point. I don't even think anyone's trading this anymore. I mean, look at the daily. Look at the daily. There's like 2 people trading this market right now. I'm not even trading. I don't give a fuck about this. This is just sandpaper and pain. It's what it is. That's what it is, man. Anyways, I think that's probably a good place for me to be leaving off on this video. I just wanted to make a short and sweet one for some interesting stuff coming up in October, most likely. And yeah, we'll come back maybe around the end of September as we do have more information on on September at that point as to where this thing does close. And that's going to really help to, govern, the next portion of the analysis. We'll also be seeing a quarterly close as well, of course. And again, I just want to remind myself that, the prior analysis of looking at the quad witching dates in September to the end of the month of September, is still relevant here. We still do typically see, an upside move from about the midpoint of September, which in this case was right around here. To the end of September, so far it traded about almost 4% to the upside. Now, basically nothing. It's about zero. So, realistically, probabilities still favoring it's not that probabilities are favoring the Boo laws right here. It's just probabilities are favoring not a humongous breakdown in September as of right now. If we were going to see a tremendous breakdown in September, it probably would have happened in that first half. Again, statistically speaking, doesn't mean that it can't happen, but as time goes on, less and less likely. So I think that's a good place maybe to be leaving off on this particular video. We'll come back at it tomorrow, hopefully with something new. Probably not. I'm not spoiled surprise right now, but I am gonna spoil the surprise right now. Probably Bitcoin's going to be at 26,550, somewhere around there. Anyways, all jokes aside, I do want to wish you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.